Okay, so today we're going to go over graphing quadratics and we're going to graph them in vertex form. This is another form, just like how standard form is another form, and it's going to be the same shape, it's going to be the same type of thing, we're just going to be doing it in a different way and it's going to give us different information. Our goals for today are to be able to graph a function in a quadratic function specifically. We want to be able to understand the standard form of a quadratic function, and we're going to do that just kind of by getting to know a couple more things that are common throughout all of them. And we want to be able to graph a function in vertex form, which is what we're going to be covering most today. So vertex form is the form that gives us the vertex. They were really creative when they named it, and they just said, hey, look, it's vertex form. And it's going to be of this, it's going to look like this every single time. It's going to be f of x is equal to a times x minus h squared plus k. Now I want to point out some things here. This a right here is the same a that it's been since standard form. And it's the same a that you were dealing with when you were making tables and identifying them from the table. That second difference, or half of that second difference, that a is the same. What's interesting here is we have x minus h squared plus k. Both of these numbers are both numbers. They're just stand-ins for something else. We just wanted some number that wasn't b or c. Because they're not b and c, they're different. So that's what we have there for our vertex form. Now, what's really cool about it is we can graph this kind of form by using the vertex as a guide, and we'll talk about how to find that vertex. We also want to look for patterns in the graph according to the numbers in the function. This is just a thing in general. You always want to be looking for patterns because as soon as you find a pattern, you can use it to cheat. And cheating or exploiting it is the best thing that you possibly can do in math. And that's how all new math is created. There is a pattern, and I'm going to try and help you understand it, but there'll probably be another video that'll talk about it later. So let's understand our vertex form in its basic, simplest form. So our a is going to be the same thing as it was before in our standard form. It's still going to be 1/2 of our second difference. Now we have h, and h is the x value of the vertex. You can remember that because it's kind of stuck here with the h, with the x. So it's our x value of the vertex. K is the y value of the vertex. So h, x value of vertex, y is the y, or k is the y value of the vertex. Be careful here because you notice that there's a negative inherently in this. This negative means that this is going to be the opposite, this value of h is going to be opposite. So you look at it and say negative h, I want it to be positive when I pull it out. And the reason for that is basically we're just solving for our lowest point or our highest point on the graph. And that's going to be when we want this chunk to be equal to 0 because we don't want anything to be moving. We don't want it's a long process. There's a little bit of calculus in it, but in thing where that's what's going to go on. And so we want this number to be equal to 0. Well, how is x minus h going to be equal to 0? X minus h is going to be equal to 0 when x is equal to h. And then we get h minus h, which is 0. So at that point, when x is equal to h, we get out a k value, and that's going to be our vertex. That's going to be our lowest or our highest point. So now we're going to do a quick check, and I want you to identify the vertex of each equation. And I want you to write it in an ordered pair. So it'll be something along the lines of hk. Remember, because of that negative sign in there for the h, you want to take the opposite. So if it says -2, you want to find it as +2 when you write it down. So go ahead, pause the video, do this quick check. It shouldn't take you too long.